This death and destruction that we found in Gaza just a few weeks ago is cruel and desperate. But I tell you, the siege is much worse. At least when they were being bombed, it was on the news. When the bombing stopped, you didn't hear about Gaza and its suffering at all. But the people's situation is absolutely desperate. Gaza needs 250 trucks per day. Israel allows 25 trucks per day for 2.5 days per week. Instead of 250 per day, it's 62 per week. So the 80% that have to be fed by the international community can't have enough to eat. And the 20% who are not refugees, whom no one has a responsibility to feed, have nothing at all. We visited hospitals that are operating, literally operating in the dark with no electricity, either all of the time, some of the time, or much of the time. Is exhausted doctors who have been working for weeks and weeks under the most extreme pressure imaginable, operating by candlelight, by flickering oil lamps like something from the Crimean War. When the electricity goes off, the medicine spoils. Procedures are interrupted and can't be completed with the loss of patients. These doctors are desperate for relief. While on the Egyptian side of the border, when we went through, there was 100 doctors, volunteers from all over the world, desperately trying to get across to Gaza to come to the rescue of their medical colleagues, forbidden by the government of Egypt to cross. This siege is worse, much worse than the bombardment and the war itself. And worst of all is that it's an Arab siege. Egypt could open the border unless Egypt's no longer a country. Unless the land of Jamal Abdel Nasser is no longer a country, then they could open these gates at Rafah. Let the doctors in, let the aid in, but they won't. And they must. We must end that siege because Gaza is dying and its people are dying under that siege. I've got to tell you, the people are broken-hearted with the Arabs. Everywhere we went, the same question was on everybody's lips. You are here, but where are the Arabs? One little girl said to me, where is this Arab world they teach us about in school? Where is this Ummah they talk to us about on Fridays? Why did they leave us alone? That's what she said to me, with tears in her eyes. Why did they leave us alone? Now, I don't believe that in this Ummah, in this Arab world, the people want to leave them alone. But we have to stand up and prove that. We have to stand up and let them see that. They don't know about this meeting tonight. They may never know about it. We have to find ways of breaking this siege to dry the tears of that little girl who's asking, where are the Arabs? Where are the Muslims? Why did they leave us alone? I had to turn my face away from her when she said it. And I am not an Arab. I had to turn away. I couldn't face her in the face of such a question. And so, the bad news for you is this. I told them in Gaza that I was coming on a tour of the United States and I would return with a convoy from the United States, not of 110 vehicles, but of 500 vehicles flying the American flag. And if we don't turn up with it, they're going to think that you left them alone. This siege can only be broken by shaming the government of Egypt into opening the border. They couldn't refuse our convoy, and they will not be able to refuse yours. If they're afraid of my flag, they're certainly afraid of your flag. And so I want to announce tonight the formation of Viva Palestina USA, and we're going to I've asked Ron Kovic to lead it with me all the way to Gaza. And if Ron Kovic's in the front, when else should it leave but the 4th of July this year? Independence Day. Independence Day. Let's head for Gaza. Let it be a real Independence Day. Let it be a day when people in the United States declare their independence in the Middle East. Declare that they will no longer allow this country and its money and its standing and prestige in the world to be abused, misused, despoiled by association with the State of Israel and its new government of Netanyahu and Lieberman. Let's make it a real Independence Day. Let's get 500 American trucks with American flags. Let's raise not $2 million, but $10 million. Let's get Tom Cruise and Warren Beatty and Sean Penn, and let's get all the stars and personalities we can gather and let them head for Gaza on that day, on the 4th of July. And it's much easier for you than it is for me, than it was for me. We had to drive there. We had to drive all the way. All you have to do is this: raise the money, fly to Cairo, buy or rent the trucks, go into the marketplace and buy the things the Palestinian people need. Put the stuff on the trucks, put your flag on the front, make a convoy miles long, and head for the border. And I promise you, the sight of 500 American vehicles heading for Rafah, Hosni Mubarak will get out of the way, and the Palestinian people will rise up as one to receive you. And it'll be a change, you know. The US flag bringing life to the Palestinians rather than death. Every bullet in the back of a Palestinian child, every rocket that demolishes a house in Gaza, every brick in the apartheid wall, every settlement on illegally occupied land is paid for by your taxes. That's the truth of it. It's not paid by Rockefeller, it's paid by you. Every one of you is a taxpayer, and your money is going to pay for the death and destruction of the Palestinian people and what remains of their country. Not only that, this policy of yours and ours, but mainly yours, has created such bitterness and hatred in the world that people want to hurt us. And when they hurt us, we've got to go and invade them and occupy them. You've spent $1 trillion since 9/11. When, of course, 9/11 was in part the result of the double standards and the injustice committed by Western countries against the Muslim world. The mass murder of innocent people in New York and in London on 7th of July. That mass murder didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of a swamp of bitterness, constantly watered by the injustice and the double standards of our policies towards the Muslim world, and in particular, our double standards and our injustice visited on the people of Palestine. And this is my message to President Obama, whom I respect and admire and supported. I was the first person in Britain on my radio shows, on my television shows, to support him when nobody in Britain could pronounce his name, and Fox News still can't pronounce his name. I respect him and admire him. He doesn't have the excuse the last guy had of being an imbecile. He knows. He knows. He sat with the late, great Professor Edward Said, so he knows. He knows that Palestine is the heart of the matter. Palestine is the key. It's the flaw at the heart of Eastern-Western relations, of the policy of the non-Muslim world towards the Muslim world. I tell him this with all my respect. If you conduct business as usual now with this state of Israel, there's no point in closing Guantanamo Bay, because you'll only have to open it again. You'll have to open hundreds of Guantanamo Bays, because it's this injustice, these double standards, that are driving many Muslims in the world crazy, so that they want to hurt us in their rage. And I can tell that there are people in this audience who disagree with me. But I think that this is a turning point. I think this is a new chapter. That's why I'm here now in this country at this time. That's why I'm launching this convoy at this time, which can link up all the cities and towns within states, even within states that are entirely separate from each other, an alphabet soup of Muslim and Arab societies and solidarity organizations. I tell you, there's too many solidarity organizations in this country and not enough solidarity. That's the reality. Under this umbrella of Viva Palestina USA, all the societies, all the groups, all the communities can unite in one great common objective. And they can link up with all the other states where we have people who are ready to raise the money, to come to Cairo, to drive the vehicles, to enter Gaza. I believe this is an important new time for the United States. I believe that President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, a black man in the White House, built by black slaves, not your ordinary guy. He's not an ordinary president. Of course, if we start off with the view that we're already defeated, well, we'll definitely be defeated. If you fight, you can't guarantee to win, but if you don't fight, you can guarantee to lose. If we leave the battlefield of ideas, be sure our enemies will not. We have to say that this President Obama on paper looks like our kind of guy, but as the Scottish football manager, I mean real football, not the masquerade that you call football, Bill Shankly said, well, on paper, we certainly should beat them, but unfortunately, football's not played on paper, it's played on grass. On paper, Barack Obama's our type of guy, but the game will be played on grass. But we have to be in the game. That means we've got to stop deciding that every appointment, every statement, every non-statement marks a total betrayal and that there's nothing more can be achieved. We have to engage with the American political process in a way that I sense we have not done sufficiently before. I give the example of the Irish in America. I could give others, but I happen to know the Irish well. You can't run for President of the United States unless you've got an Irish relative somewhere in the attic. Even Barack Obama discovered an Irish gene. And I've been going to Ireland since the late 1950s. I never saw anybody that looked like Barack Obama there in Ireland. Why did he discover this Irish gene? Not because he loves Irish music, though he might. What's not to love? Not because he likes potatoes. He doesn't look like the sort of guy who loves potatoes to me. He discovered an Irish gene because the Irish people don't give their votes and their money away cheaply. They demand something in return from the politicians who want their money and who want their votes. That's the kind of lobby we have to build in the United States. And we can do it. There are millions and millions of us. There are more of us than there are of them. We have more money than them. What they've got that we don't have is unity and organization and determination. Don't cry and moan and whinge about how well organized they are. Study them and let's be as organized and as wealthy and as powerful as they are. Because this is the time. There's never been a better time. We have this new president. The U.S. economy is on the floor. It can't afford the wars that come from the injustice of our policy towards the Muslim world. $3 billion a year to a country of 5 million people, plus the military aid, plus the private philanthropy. The U.S. can't afford it anymore, and it's not good politics. This is what you have to explain to your American neighbors. It's not good politics to go around the world making everybody hate you. Because when everybody hates you, some of them will hate you so much that they'll hurt you and your interests and your people. It's time to make a change. It's time the United States followed a policy in the Middle East in the interests of the people of the United States and not in the interests of others. I close with this point. I haven't missed anything, have I, that I said I'd come back to? I close with this point. When I was leaving Gaza, I said to the news media that interviewed me there, if Israel or anybody else imagines that by this bombardment and this siege that they will break the will of the Palestinian people to resist, they are wrong. The Palestinian resistance is not broken, and it will never be broken. As long as one Palestinian child remains alive, it will never, ever be broken. And we have to side with them, we have to come to their side, and we have to do it now. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much.